I'll keep it short so that we have more time to actually hear Jenny. But I will say that out of 1,924 poems, she actually had 2 poems that were, I would say, in the top 5. So it was no coincidence that her poem actually won. And actually it was difficult to even choose between those as well.
I'm going to start with the winning poem. It's called When Our Mother Dies. The nurse is over by the door, a parakeet on the window ledge, sounds of a busy ward close by. Our mother takes her final breath, silence I have never heard before. No bird, no ward. The nurse's mouth is moving as the door creaks shut. Mother's lips begin to part, produce a field of orchids on her tongue. The 3-room shack where she was raised. Her siblings, playing in a field, are not grey-haired, back-bent or dead, but running wild. 8 children dressed in rags, including her, dancing near an oak, sticking out her tongue to a bent-back woman kneeling at a stream, beating clothes on smooth grey rock. Grandmother reaches for the oak, yanks down a branch, thicker than grandfather's arm. He's run away by now, drunk no doubt with his rank women. Grandmother rips leaves off the branch, attacks my mother's skin till welts are what she strokes to help her fall asleep. Pain assigned my brother in due course. The parakeet flies high above my mother's tongue. She walks through all her ages. Young woman with a child. It was meant to be a moment's fun at a party with a stranger on a bed of coats. She's caught again. Drags 2 children close behind. The field replaced by concrete slabs, a high-rise flat. The branch becomes a belt she hands to a strange man, not a father, but we're told to call him Dad. He attacks her son, my brother, hides the whelps. All this is on her tongue. With the night he took his final breath. The field returns with him, back straight, head high, still 20 years of age. She runs towards him as the bird flies off, and being just the same as when he breathed, my brother does not turn away. This poem is from my first collection called Her Lost Language. And I wrote it after many, many years of not writing poetry, and I didn't miss it at all. I really didn't think I was going to write poetry again. So it contains some of the first poems that I'd written in many, many years. And this poem is for my grandmother, who I never met, but who I feel powers my voice. And it's called, actually I will say it's about identity, but identity through clothes, and how that can be lost in absolute poverty. It's called The Seamstress. I'll be the dress she never owned, immaculate for special days, the only burden heavy frills, and English lace along the hem. I'll never trail in dirt or suffer dust from cane fields. My heart will burst to make a bodice stitched with bold Jamaican flowers, yellow orchids, red hibiscus. There will be a giant fern appliqued on my back, her ribcage open to its full extent. I'll raise my chin to make the high, firm collar, a throat so elegant, with space to hold my voice. I'll ask her what she really wants, plain cuffs or golden buttons. Underneath the dress, I'll make myself silk underwear, a soft and pretty petticoat. Its one equivalent will be her newly coddled skin. My feet will make such dainty shoes, and she will go like Cinderella to the ball. But if she doesn't want the prince this time, she'll dance away without a care. The English lace will shimmer as she moves. This third poem is from my second collection, which is called Map of a Plantation. And all of the poems are based on a slave estate, an imagined slave estate in Jamaica in the 19th century. And I wrote it from the point of view of enslaved people and enslavers, because I wanted to think about power and freedom and agency. And this poem is from the point of view of an imagined enslaved woman. It's called Bending Down to Worship. Church Mary said her God was in the ground, not Satan, but all the things that grew, and flowers were the gems upon his crown. She made a garden all around her house, a broken shack she called a palace where she reigned. You couldn't step beyond her door unless you bought her a bouquet or something green and pulsing, full of life. She filled each bowl and glass she found with blooms she called her jewels, though they were better as they gave a lovely scent. She tended to her tiny Eden till the flowers reached above her head, the colours bold against dark skin, so filled with shining light. Her head wraps were like floral wreaths, and every dress was made of faded flowers, the age-old boots like clumps of mud. The days when she was forced to work out in the fields, she feared the sun might scorch her garden. She ran out of the cane the moment that the whistle blew, and went to fetch pure water from the stream. Her flowers had to live as they were all the freedom that she knew. On nights when she was grieving, she went outside to kneel amongst the plants, bend her head and talk to God. He answered back by showing her another rock or stone she had to move, revealing yet more ground on which to grow more buds. One Sunday, when the white priest tried to make her go to church, she offered him her shining patch of land with one sweep of her arm. She said, "I never saw your Jesus, but when I die, I'll end up in the ground to feed the things I love to grow, and that is all the heaven I will need." He damned her as a godless slave, but when he left, she heard the voice of God again. He spoke to her of flowers as she bent to ornament his crown. I just shared two more with you. This one is from my latest collection, Resurrection of a Black Man, and I just tried to think about non-stereotypical ideas of masculinity. And this poem and the book are for my brother, Mark Anthony Mitchell. Black men should wear colour. I actually meant to do a different one, but I will do black men should wear colour. I mean an orange coat, sunlight dripping down the sleeves, a yellow shirt to clash with bright blue trousers, taking inspiration from the most translucent sea. Pink leather shoes, fuchsia might be best, to contrast with brown skin. Red socks should add some warmth, so long as they're the only flames to ever touch your feet. A tie could be mistaken for a noose, unless you choose a rainbow swirling on the chest. It will help to show the heart has all the colours in the world. Walk down any street with head held high. I will wave my colours back, and we'll both be safe. This final poem is from my first collection, Her Lost Language. It's called English Fields. Grey-haired and stately, a woman sat beside me on a train, despite the empty seats close by. I thought she might be mad when she said in a well-spoken voice, I was sitting alone in first class and suddenly felt so afraid. Funny how endless fields can pull up buried memories. I'm sure I just heard the voices from the past, the neighbours in my hometown who formed a shouting train of alarm when father fell down on his way from the pub, weekdays as much as weekends. The neighbours called for one of his motherless brats to go and pick him up. It was usually me, as the older ones were working late at a dance or early married off. I trudged past the whispering doorways and felt most ashamed when I came to the filthy sack of man I used to call Dad. He laughed in my face as I helped him stand up. He leant on my much lesser weight and breathed deeply. He smelled of stale beer and sometimes of piss. Then, young as I was, he touched my breasts and brushed his hand on my private parts. He looked in my eyes and dared me to speak, but the words were petrified in my throat. His eyes were a watery green. I had felt his belt on my back. I all but carried him home, past the neighbours who cheered him on, a lush, but good for a laugh. They made their disapproval known when I married a boy at 16 to escape. I had to escape him as well. There were 2 other husbands, and now I'm alone. Funny I should tell you all this. You must have a trustworthy face. This is my stop. Gosh, that was quick. You know I don't believe in ghosts, but if they do exist, Father will kill me for telling the truth. She waved from the platform. I tapped on the glass. Then there were fields again. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you so very much, Suzuki, for honouring me by choosing my poem. I was so shocked, so happy, and and also to thank Patrick and Kate and all of the team for making me feel so welcome and putting me up in such a lovely hotel. And also just to thank everybody who didn't fall asleep, because some of you did. Okay, thank you.
Jenny, how do you feel about sharing with us the poem you intended to read, Ruskin?
Oh, okay.
You're under no obligation.
No, I'll do it very quickly, yeah. It's called Black Men Carry Flowers. Red blossoms on their palms. Hibiscus blooms from fingertips. Water lilies circle wrists, in contrast to their shade. Heavy laden with this crop, they move with grace. Vines cling to arms. Ferns worn as green insignia, warriors of peace. They grow on any street if you look up. See men are grand estates, a wealth of plants, once torn from land. They burgeon in the wild, reach out in dappled light, wide shoulder blades replete with yellow orchids. Chests are dappled lawns, rolling to a bank of leaves, delicate but strong. Morning glories shape their legs. Bougainvillea bends the knees, ripples as it clings to thighs, tumbling to their shins. Agile on the ground, jasmine moves their feet. Every step a heady scent, rising through a man-made plant, flourishing. Their words fall out as petals. Thank you.